Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Unified Proving Ground Circuit Qualifier, as we just got to see a very close game number one here between these two teams, going at it blow for blow. What an amazing showing to start us off with today, right, Smets?
Yeah. It was a really sick one. We got a lot of cool moments. The Fiora counterpick in the top lane for Sniper, and then I really liked the way that EG actually attacked that as well. They had sent a lot of pressure up there too. It's just a few moments where they got picked off and got surprised by the Nautilus later that really sold them and let 100 Thieves win. So I thought it was a really close one.
Speaking of Nautilus surprising people, Amelia, you were saying some things. You were hyped up on the Lutz as we saw it get picked up in the draft, and then you saw the Nautilus, and you're like, oh no, not Nautilus.
Yeah, it's a bad matchup for Lux, in my opinion. It was a rough one for sure.
RPM, you were very vocal as well. We were inside that game, and you were looking at some of the things that were happening inside that. You did say, you predicted 100 Thieves Nets picking up game number one. Are you feeling still confident in the rest of your prediction right now?
Yeah, I think the game went really well for the start for EGP. It went well for a long time. And Adaption just ran it down twice. It got hooked by Nautilus 2 different times. So it was like, that made the game really hard to play. Because the game, like, it was hardcore in their favor for a long time. Perry played, like, you know, Perry ended up running it down, like, a few times. But, like, he played pretty well. They did a good Herald swap. They got top lane pretty far ahead. And Faisal played really, really well, even though he got counterpicked. So, well, skill matchup picked, I guess. So, it was pretty good overall.
Pretty good, and some pretty good replays are going to be coming at us here. And the first one we got is the beginning. It's the first blood that we had here. RBM, if you could start us off through this as we get to see a nice wraparound come in.
Yeah, something really cool. We won't see it from this replay, but Perry is like spam pinging to try to tell Leo something is happening, which, you know, is a really good sign as his like knowledge as a player that, hey, you could get ganked on this timer. But Leo just griefed his Zero combo really hard. He didn't respect flash away and then WEQ. So that was pretty sad, but it's avoidable in the future.
That was a very sad replay at the end there.
I mean,
just
yeah,
watch a Zero fade away. I didn't know that happened to him.
Yeah, I mean, Perry, like, that was like full solo queue. Like, you could tell Perry's pinging 6 times, like, on both sides of the river, hey, you're gonna get ganked on this mid wave because the mid wave can't crash yet, and Perry can't get there to fix the wave to help him crash it, and Fan isn't just in the right spot at the right time to play on the wave. And then Leo egos his combo and doesn't flash before, or like at least try to trade flashes. Because if he flashes, this is how he's gonna flash back towards him, but he can at least try to get a WEQ back at a different angle and like execute his death or delay his death, and let his wave just be doomed for a while.
Yeah, you're definitely you're seeing the downside here for Leo. What I'm excited about is that Zinzhou is actually ganking before he's done with his full camps. It's not happened in the entire tournament. It's like the first time. So I'm very happy that Fnatic is actually getting in there and making stuff happen in the early game, because it doesn't feel like any other jungler is doing this.
Seal of approval from Smats on the Zinzhou for Fnatic here, but we do see Trundle have an excellent play down there into the bot lane. And going over to this replay, Amelia, we got to see that flash forward from the Trundle here. It was pretty feisty.
Yeah, as you can see, they're just looking up. I have no idea. Oh, but Perry comes, wait, he leaves. I thought we're looking at the game. I got confused.
Yeah.
Oh, he sneaks back up. My bad. Now
he's taking his time.
He's
you
gone.
know?
Right, with the
Yeah,
flash killer. Beautiful cue by the leg stand. They just pick that one up really easily. Really well played by Perry. They did not expect them to come back around.
Yeah, I really like that
So
play.
well played, yeah.
Before there was also a bot lane 2v2 set of kills, and like a bunch of summoner spells were blown too. So it ended up being a really good time to find a gank. And like, I was just praising Fnatic for getting stuff done in the early game. Perry was doing this as well. It was actually a really active game from jungler, which I really liked.
Both junglers moving around the map, and we got to see, you know, a pretty good early game coming out from Daption. Had some roams on the Lutz, not something that you normally see, especially with Caitlyn Lutz, something that you were talking about, Amelia. It was pretty good for a little bit, and then we got to see the moment where everything changed. 100 Thieves took control of the game off of one major fight here, and I think we should have a replay of it where the 5v5 goes nuts. Mats, if you could give us a walkthrough on this.
So RVM spoiled it a little bit by mentioning that that Daption, in RBM's words, runs it down a little bit, not too far off from the truth, finding himself on the bad end of a Nautilus hook. That Leo ult was insane, though. And I wanna take this time to highlight Leo's Azir, because there were so many ultimates in this game where all 4 of us on the desk were watching, we were like, oh, let's go! Oh, wait, it didn't do anything.
He did that multiple times.
I know. It was really a good set of ultimates. It's just that they found themselves on like bad footing by the time it got there, and I think that's something that is a really bright point for EG to take away from this game, is that Leo is definitely, he's got a lot of momentum right now. He's feeling good on the Azir. I definitely would be. Finding all those combos is really sick. You know, I don't know a lot about Azir. I mostly just play him in ARAM, but those are really good moments for him. So I think for moving forward, that's something to keep in mind for EG.
Yeah, that fight was really starting out super well, and the Leo turned the fight like after Dashin like griefed, and that was the second time Dashin died with flash to a Nautilus hook, so it was like pretty rough. But like Leo smurfed the fight, but the target selection was really rough because instead of turning onto the Jhin to the left side, which Leo actually shuffled back into a Caitlyn trap, Trundle and Caitlyn continued the fight to the bottom right and ended up hitting Nautilus instead of just killing the Jhin while he was on the trap. And you know, if they did that, maybe they would have won that fight. Just target selection was a little bit off.
100% agree. And we're going to go ahead and get into a game number 2 here. Before we send it over to our casters, though, I want to ask my desk, what are you guys looking forward to? That was a very, very close game number 1. I'm going to start with you, Amelia. What did you like to see? Is there anything you want to see changed going into this next game?
Honestly, I was like all advocating for enchanters and stuff, but Dawnbright on that Nautilus was really making the pick. So I'm just excited to see what Dawnbright falls out next, catching people out. You know, I'll accept no enchanters if it means more plays like that.
Okay, there you go. All you gotta do is break out the Nautilus. All right, RBM, how about you?
I thought both drafts were relatively fine. I wasn't a huge fan of Nautilus into the Trundle because then he gets to eat an aftershock target, but it didn't end up mattering too much. Unfortunately, I'm gonna spoil it, but they picked our AGP picked blue side again, which I'm not a huge fan of because I really wanted to get Faisal in a better matchup top, because as we saw within the game, like Faisal was smurfing pretty hard on General Sniper the first early levels due to jungle pressure, so it's not looking good for my EGP bet with the blue side selection, but I have faith in Ido for his reasoning behind blue side, and hopefully he'll craft another decent draft. Yeah,
I agree, because even yesterday, Faisal was like, he had blind pick for most of the games that they had yesterday as well. They ended up winning that series against Niles, which was really, like, big props to Faisal for doing that. But now he's got to do it for the second day in a row. I think it's going to be really tough. So maybe he's got some more stuff in the tank. Like you said, RBM, the Camille was really, really good. So I'm still expecting big things from him, even if he gets a blind pick again.
All right. Well, we'll have to see what unfolds in front of us here as our casters are ready, the teams are ready. So Jolly and Beatdown, take it on away.
Thank you so much, Travesty. All right, Beatdown. Everybody in this one did, aside from RBM, did predict 100 Thieves. That was straight across the board. I think that's the only matchup in the day that we have zero contest into who the casters, I guess, who the analysts, who everybody on the desk predicted. So are we feeling a 2-0 sweep?
Maybe, although I do gotta correct you. RBM did technically bet on EGP. I'm sorry, buddy, you're not getting out of that one.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
technically
we're not
on
letting
paper.
that go. Yeah, no, literally, that is what he said. I was there, so were you. But do I think it's going to be a 2-0? No, not necessarily. I kind of agree with RBM's pointing out to EGP going back on blue side. Is a pretty big unlucky for Faisal, who we all talk about is a pretty good player. But I still think the way that we saw the game played, especially from Perry Jungle, who I wasn't sure about playing champs that can have the effect on the early game, it was pretty good. So maybe this time around, EGP can put Daption on more of an engaged support just because of how difficult it is for you to find these engages when you are running Enchanter support, because you don't really have that CC anywhere else. A lot of it was on Leo, who admittedly was doing well, finding plays, but it was usually in already lost fights.
Absolutely, and I said it at the beginning of the first game. I was like, I'm gonna go against some of the members on the desk and say the Enchantress is maybe not necessarily the best bet, because when we see, sure, Enchantress versus Enchantress, that ends up being a pretty solid fight. But generally, if an Enchanter is picked, and especially when Donbray is on the other side, it's going to be a Nautilus, it's going to be a Leona, it's going to be a Thresh, it's going to be one of these heavy frontline initiators that is going in on these fights, because he also wants to find that early roam. And by being somebody like Nautilus, like Leona, you're not putting yourself into as much of a threat, and you really are setting yourself up as kind of like a secondary jungler, if you will. We see it happen a lot in the mid lane. We saw Insanity get the first early pressure, right? I think it was Fnatic that picked up the first blood, but it was from a gank into the mid lane. So I would like to see, Perry kind of redo what he did in that earlier game of actually engaging relatively early. We expect it from Fnatic. This is always what happens with Fnatic.
Right, and I was kind of wondering whether or not they were going to go for maybe take the Jhin away, but instead it's actually going to be the Xin. We saw, and it's going to be, I guess, the Xin Trundle trade. It looks like the handshake of the series where, yeah, we saw Perry do well on the Trundle early on. I just want to see him do the same thing in the early game to be able to actually try and set up, make plays in some of these lanes. Pressure, especially if you can pressure topside and give a little help to Faisal, who was, again, playing pretty well here. I think EGP will be in a pretty decent spot here. Of course, we're going to see Array come back on the Jhin, which he had a great game on ultimately, and I think it's going to go back to just being the same thing. Like, if you don't end up seeing things like the Victor or something taken away, I'm sure 100 Thieves are going to run back largely the same draft. Maybe they'll change top, maybe they'll change support, but besides that, I'm expecting very similar.
I like, poor sketch. Poor sketch. Looking at the first set of bans, Aphelios, Jinx, and Caitlyn. And then picking the Jhin immediately, on the first pick selection right there. So it's going to be the Camille lock-in again here for Faisal. Played very, very well, even though there was the counter in that Fiora, and I definitely think you're absolutely right there, Beatdown. You know what, at this point, we got to see Perry put a little bit more focus towards the top side, maybe not initiating towards the bottom as much, even though it is really rough right now with your limited selection in what ADCs you're capable of taking in. They have the Leona locked down, which is a really good sign. The Daption is adaptioning.
Okay, so now this time around, though, we're seeing top picked up again in response to what Faisal is going to be playing. The Gwen is a common answer. Can, as time goes on, I think actually start to outtrade, but I mean, we saw Faisal in unfavorable matchups do well, so maybe things will go differently, but ultimately, that just gives you a lot of carry potential in the later parts of the game for Sniper in the top lane. And now you're just going to see 100X continue to ban away mid laners. Just some of these strong picks that Leo would probably want to take, but not actually allow him to.
Yeah, LeBlanc was the third ban in the first game. It was Aphelios, Jinx, and LeBlanc. So the LeBlanc didn't get through in this first selection, or this first phase of picks. That means it's absolutely going to be banned away. And of course, we had the Vex and the Renekton banned out. I do think Insanity is capable of countering the Vex. It might still be locked in, and it's actually going to Ziggs. So even more pressure onto Sketch.
Yeah, we'll have to see what EGP also wants to take away here. It's going to end up being the Yuumi, actually. So they are going to take that one out. I wonder, we could see 100 Thieves just pick their support and then go last pick mid, give Insanity the best matchup they can. Or, I mean, if they really wanted to go, it makes sense too, just because the Leona is already showing, like, you know what you're playing into on the bottom side of the map.
Not available. Right, so you might as well save that for the last pick, because it's not like they're going to pick a Nautilus from the side of EGP, not made it through the ban phase. Might as well save it for the last, and they're actually going to lock it in right now. You know what, try to get maybe a little bit more of a counter pick right here. See if EGP has to lock in their mid laner, because we know that Insanity is looking for some counter ability.
Right, I mean, still a good couple of mid laners available. I mean, we know Vex is up, like you said. Technically, Azir is up if EGP want to go that route again. Syndra is available. There's a lot of champions they could definitely go for here. And oh wow, so we're gonna have Sketch on the Draven if that's not a misclick, which will definitely be interesting. A lot of early game power, more so definitely than what we saw before with the Caitlyn. It is about lane dominance here. So I think maybe we are gonna see what you were talking about here, EGP or Perry playing more towards that bottom side of the map.
Yeah, that's what we saw in game number 1. It'd be really nice to have Faisal a little more capable of doing some side laning earlier on in the game, but given the fact that there are 4 of 5 bans from 100 Thieves that are directed towards Sketch, that really puts his back up against the wall. So at this point, that definitely has to be the case, really. We're hovering Enchantress on the side. Of course, this is, Donbray having fun.
We're just having some fun.
Yep. Donbray is going to have some fun with us. The Silas lock in as well. It is going to be the Veigar in response here to the Silas. Woo, we love to see it. And, you know, I like the Silas pick here, but in terms of ultimates, they're good. They're not some of the best ultimates that I've seen that you can, you know, take away. I think that might be also part of why Insanity ended up going here with this heavy crowd control champion, because they get the early lead once again, and they're going to be really difficult to stop.
I think the Silas is fine. You're not going to be getting mid prio in pretty much any matchup, especially not into the Veigar. But I think ultimately being able to steal the subjugate is nice. It goes with what EGP are doing as a whole. Diving, everyone except Sketch has some ways to just jump into this fight. And I mean, technically Draven does have the W, which is his move speed up. So it just kind of fits more with what they want to do. Yeah, exactly. And the thing, though, I really like about this Veigar pick for Insanity is just the fact that because of all this dive EGP have, that Event Horizon is actually super, super good in this game here, just because you have a lot of melee champions trying to close the gap, all except for Sketch. And in doing so, as long as Insanity has that cage up, EGP, they'll have to respect, and it's actually going to make fighting around these objectives pretty difficult for EGP.
You're absolutely right, right? If you're hook shotting in, if you're trying to jump in as Perry, right? If you get the chains as Leo here, if you're Zenith blading, I mean, these are all opportunities to where you are initiating heavily, and all it takes is that Event Horizon to say, nope, 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 nope. And then it's up to Draven to try to run away, try to escape from these fights, or just kind of continuously be hitting from the backline. Of course, it does offer Sketch a massive front line with all of these picks, and the fact that they are all melee. If they're going to be engaging in a fight, I mean, they've got to be surgical about it, right? This is a situation where they need to wait for the Event Horizon to go down. They need to make sure that he is not in a position where he can just kind of jump out of nowhere and throw that massive cage of crowd control down. And then on top of it, of course, they've got the hook to follow things up. They have the Trundle Pillar to get some more disruption, right? It's so easy for Sniper to be able to jump onto these players. So that's really what we're looking for from EGP, is trying to get, even though they don't have a ton of early game prowess, trying to get as much as possible, prevent 100 Thieves from taking that away, because 100 Thieves can definitely roll with that.
Yeah, and I think as long as Perry continues that early game aggression, I think this early game could still go well. I think taking mid will obviously be really hard unless you happen to walk by after that Event Horizon is used. But ultimately, I think you still have lanes that you can play for if you're EGP. Perry can go bot. You have a very strong 2v2 with Sketch and Daption here. Of course, you have Faisal, who's just honestly really strong on this Camille pick. He has a lot of carry potential as well. He could play towards that top side again, set Sniper behind like EGP did in game one, and that is a potential way for you to be able to play this one out. Because I mean, your bot lane is going to get shoved, your bot lane is going to get a lot of pressure, so I think you can technically go and set up for these dives because you have a lot of CC if you want to, or you could play away from it also if you choose and just try and help Leo and Faisal.
Yeah, this is a situation too with Gwen. I mean, you know how much I talk about Gwen and Viego in particular when it comes to these champions, these players being behind. It doesn't matter. All it takes, you get a couple of items. You get 3 items on this Gwen, and yeah, you get the it's ridiculous. She's the Nashor's Tooth Rift Maker, and then you top it off with the Zonias, and it's like, what are you capable of doing when she's able to pop her W? And especially when you have all the initiation as well on the follow-up for 100 Thieves. So, you know, EGP, sure, you can focus the top side. I would much prefer to see Perry here focus towards this Draven and this Leona as we are hopping into game number 2 here. This is the first day of quarterfinals in the playoffs, and it's a do-or-die situation. No lower bracket on this, single elimination. EGP with their backs up against the wall. 100 Thieves looking to clear this one in a sweep.
Already 100 Thieves looking to start things off with an aggressive play. Oh my gosh, Perry. Perry doesn't know.
Let's see if anything. I mean, Perry's doing this little back and forth. I feel like maybe trying to bait something. There are a couple members, you know, of the team. You got Faisal up there, but definitely nothing you want to pull 4 members in towards.
Probably not. They're just waiting to see if Perry goes for a bit of an aggressive ward, some of that division, something they can try to punish, but he doesn't go for it, so everyone's just going to recall, go back to their usual lane assignments here. And I mean, this is a big game for EGP. If they want to try and keep themselves alive, try and make it to that semifinals. It's going to have to start here, Jelly. You're going to have to be able to actually get the win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
And-
win forehead.
Right? Yeah, it's that easy. Get better and win the game. But Perry,
Yes.
that was potentially a really scary situation for Perry. Of course, he made the smart move, not going in on that. You definitely don't want to set 100 Thieves next up for success. We've seen how easily they can get the snowball started. It's really hard to stop it from rolling infinitely in their favor. A little bit of poke comes out so far. Sketch is not having any trouble from Array. Oh, alright.
Yeah, Daption gets to walk up realistically, but he sees the trade, support health. It's about what you can expect here. Sketch and Daption probably going to get level 2 first. So Array and Dawnbray, they're going to have to respect that. Both junglers starting on same sides of the map, but again, Fnatic going for this three camp clear, going for this opportunity to just be able to make a play as soon as possible here. And if he wants to go bot, like, he's going to show up much later than, or much sooner than Perry will be able to, especially with that ping as well. Seems like he's tracking him pretty well. Does get the inkling that he's full clearing. Actually pings him while he's on Wolves.
Yeah. Mentioned they even move up towards the Scuttle Crab as well. You can see the pings in response coming here. The potential that, you know, Fnatic is going to do what Fnatic tends to do, which is make a very early level 3 gank. And that might still be the case. He's clearing out a little bit more of the jungle than usual here. Now the ping's coming in the back up. He's just going to navigate his way up towards the backside of the map, potentially for a turnaround down here. And hey, we're going to get a nice deep ward coming out of Daption. So already I mean, this is offensive, but it is still defense, right?
Yeah, I mean, when you have the push, you can definitely do this, offer pressure. I think now, though, seems like EGP are less sure of what Fnatic's trying to do in this early game. The jungle pathing is definitely interesting. Doesn't see an angle bot, so instead, he's going to go back and clear some of the camps he missed, and go ahead and pick up this top Scuttle Crab instead. Maybe he can go and invade, but I think Faisal is actually just going to be able to drop that ward because he knows, hey, you know what? Fnatic might be here. And if he is, I'm in a lot of trouble. So that ward will give the information he's looking for.
Yeah. Gets taken down. The assumption is that Fnatic's probably not going to continue on in this one. Of course, Perry is going to trade over for the lower Scuttle Crab. It's potentially, you know, an opportunity to grab some items for everyone here, and it is going to be the full recall coming out of EG Prodigies. Almost everybody going back to base except for Leo.
Yeah, and so far, no fighting really breaking out. I actually don't think much skirmishing outside of that initial bot skirmish at level 2 has really gone, or happened rather. But you already have Dawnbray off this first reset. Actually, both supports making the move, potentially going to set up on the top side. In game 1, we saw Daption move top. So looking like in game 2, it's Dawnbray taking a turn like, hey, I can do this too.
We got 3 longswords picked up here by Sketch. He's going to come in and do a lot of damage. Already ahead in creep score. Of course, only 5, not a massive amount, but that's kind of to be expected for the early parts of this game. Especially with Daption and Dawnbray and having that Relic Shield style item to start things out. A little bit more sustainability and survivability. And it's going to be Fnatic and Dawnbray jumping here on.
Oh, nice hook.
Bottom. Perry is in the back, and Faisal cannot escape. The exhaust goes down. Who's going to pick up the first blood? It is going to be Fnatic. In goes Perry, though. He's going to be able to trade that 1-for-1 onto Dawnbray.
You do end up getting the trade kill. Still, it's a lot of that wave. Actually, the entirety of it. Faisal is going to miss it and will have to TP so he can catch the next one. So I think the damage ultimately is still done. And I mean, when you think about it, even though it's nice for Perry that he gets a kill, Dawnbray gets that quick reset. You can see it. He's already walking back to this bottom side of the map, there to help out his AD carry and allow him to actually step up to that wave.
And a top for support, it's totally fine. You know, we're going to take another look at this play, this 3v1, which turns into a 3v2, essentially.
Sort of. I don't think Faisal got to do very much in this one. He gets flashed on immediately, and I mean, I don't know what else there is to say.
Perry says, I need my grump first.
Yeah, let me take grump first. I mean, ultimately, he was dead no matter what. I think all he could really do was look for the trade, so you might as well finish this.
Yeah, not offer anything else up to Fnatic. It's going to be EGP as we come back into the live game. We are going to be able to pick up this first dragon. No contest coming through. You do get some pings from Daption saying, hey, I want to help out my mid lane here. It is an infernal dragon. The EGP very quickly recognizing, hey, we have both, or we had the jungles, you know, up towards the top side. to make a play towards the bottom half of the map, especially with the pressure that Sketch has been able to apply really the entirety of this game so far.
Right, and it shows in the CS that he's gotten a minor lead for himself, and shows in the fact that Array is he's paying his respects. He's buying the steel caps first thing, just because we got a lot of melee, a lot of auto attackers coming through on EG Prodigy side. So it ends up being a pretty valuable purchase here. And interestingly enough, that first Dragon giving you percentage of adaptive force really works out for Insanity, who I mean is constantly going to be stacking with when he gets a kill with his Q, when he damages enemy champions. It's nice.
Oh no, Array not gonna hit the deadly flourish, flashes away, trying to get away from Adaption, but not much can come of that as the Zenith Blade is followed up right here. It would be Sketch at the kill. Donbray has to run away from this one.
Oh, they don't know.
Oh no, that's the Dredge line missing right there. Faisal just barely avoiding that pillar, but it's gonna be a flash forward here from Fnatic. No level 6 on Fnatic. There is that on Faisal, but it doesn't make a difference. The Hextech ultimatum doesn't come out. Fnatic picks up another kill.
Yeah, he knows he can't do anything about that one there.
Yeah.
But ultimately, honestly, that was a nice dive from EG Prodigies there. Really good juggle of turret aggro, and because of that, you do end up taking Array out of the picture when Donbray was just a little too late when he was trying to show up to help his AD carry. That's good. Keep up that pressure. Play for Sketch, who already is having the CS lead grow, especially with the fact that he gets the kill, gets to cash in on the adoration. You know, all Dragon players like to do.
Leo takes so much. Gonna steal the ultimate here away from Insanity, as we can see. That is a lot of potential damage that's going to be coming through from Leo. Of course, the items are pretty equivalent across the board for these two. We do have the tier already stacking, though, for Insanity. He's feeling pretty good about that, whereas the ring was the early pickup for Leo. No big surprise to try to get a bunch of extra sustainability on this one, but 20 CS behind is not a great place to be for Insanity, even though, for Leo. The damage is still coming through. I mean, we've seen some of the Event Horizon, but just it makes it impossible for Leo to really do anything, and luckily he's got his flash right now.
I mean, this is what you expect when you end up playing this matchup here. Leo, of course, will be a little more helpful later on when you're able to dive, but again, this is kind of why I am really stressing the power of that pick here, but let's hold that for a second.
Sniper, at least able to get the ping onto Perry. It is still a 3v1. Fnatic is in the wings. I think that's something that Perry might recognize, as they did not have earlier eyes onto Fnatic. We do have Donbray down on the mid side of the map right now, so it's just kind of been still an ADC off. Well, actually, it looks like EGP are going to be the ones who are initially making these moves across the map. And a good play for that, too, because, man, Sketch, having already a lead on creep score pretty much the entirety of the game, is able to put pressure and response now onto Insanity. Does have more range, obviously, as opposed to Leo, and that means that 100 Thieves next is going to have to kind of adapt accordingly.
So far, they've been doing a pretty good job at adapting. They have managed to get themselves about 1,000 gold lead, and now we have Daption back in the mid lane.
There it is. Oh, it's going to be a flash to avoid getting hit there. Insanity really didn't have any mana on top of it to do much else.
No, so he will have to flash. Doesn't have TP either. Oh, but he is actually going to get gifted the blue buff by Fnatic, so that might allow him to actually stay in lane and at least farm up a couple more waves. So that ends up being pretty nice. Nothing to really play for right now except this dragon that's coming up in a minute's time, and that's why you see Perry on this side of the map here. Could make a play bot once Array and Donberry return. The thing is, Fnatic is with them, and he does have access to that subjugate. So this could be a pretty volatile fight, but Leo is going to get that first move. I think they know this, so they're just going to back away.
Yeah, they also see the 3 now pushing on this bottom tower, and it's going to be the Rift Herald that comes out down here as well. This should be the first tower pickup of the game in favor of EVP. Oh, they can't really actually follow that one up, thanks to there being 3 members here from 100 Thieves next. So 1 charge Gulf Shell he's going to get off of that. No fight to follow it up.
You got to get some props to Fanatics. He's been doing a really good job reading some of these plays that Perry wants to do, making them maybe a little less valuable than EGP are potentially looking for here. Denying that turret, denying that extra injection of gold for taking the first one is nice, but EGP still hold on to control of the Dragon Pit area, and oh god, look at Perry, he's hovering.
Perry looking for a follow-up on this one. Is Perry even necessary on this one? Leo's going to do so much damage coming from the ultimate. Oh my god, Insanity at least trades one for his own life here. Fnatic not needed.
Yeah, we call that hashtag worth. I mean, it was a good play from EGP. Try and get that dive so you have that mid pressure. But I honestly, props to Insanity for playing that one really well, going 1-for-1. Best you can hope for in those scenarios. And what does that mean, Jolly? 100 next get to go ahead and walk down towards that dragon. The fact that Sketch and Dap should have gone for the recall. This ends up being a really unfortunate timing for EGP. 100 Thieves happy to capitalize.
Feels pretty good to be even this one out into Cloud Drake. Definitely helps with the style of play here. The 100 Thieves next has been going for, and you know what always goes for. In particular, just the roaming that we tend to see from Dawn of Bray and Fnatic being all over the map, trying to respond to everything. This really just kind of had their stats in terms of that movement. Feels really good. And Sketch is another player that has been all over the map, really just responding, saying, hey, you know what? This needs some pressure. I need some more gold. I need some more experience. Might as well take advantage of that.
Right, and you already got the majority of the plates. Because of the recall, you do get the first move. So maybe they think before Array and Dawnbreak can get there, they could potentially try to set up an opportunity to take plates. Maybe they want to play for this next Rift Herald that's coming up soon. But ultimately, if there is a fight that breaks out, the bot lane is here, while Array has to farm on that top side of the map. Question is, though, will Sketch be able to actually pick up turret plates here? He is ahead because of the CS lead and the kills that he has for himself. Can EGP actually push that one further? I think that's what they're looking to do.
Definitely. They're very, very close in gold. It's still 3-3. I mean, this is very similar to the first game we were seeing, right? Beatdown, it was, probably one tower across the board. As we take a look at gold, it's very close between Sniper and Sketch, and we can see that a big portion of that is, check out the CS, 79 to 128 here for Sniper. Oh my goodness, that is a massive lead and a massive downfall here for Faisal.
Yeah, and honestly, I think Faisal being third from the bottom, only ahead of the supports, it certainly feels bad. He's been getting a lot of attention this time around. Fnatic returning the favor for what Perry and Faisal did to Sniper in the beginning of last game, and you kind of highlighted it in Draft Select and Champ Select. Jolly, Sniper is playing Gwen, this champion that just scales pretty insanely into the later stages of the game. So getting this insane lead where you got 2 assists, you're up 50 CS? We're going to get to this point very, very quickly. I only actually just did the math now, and I'm only just really saying, oh my god, that's a lot.
Oh, yeah, that's huge, huge. And, Gwen's going to continue to side lane, right? These are once again, two side laners. Obviously, I do think Camille is probably at the top of my list, just in terms of being able to continue to, just run around the Rift, find every single side lane that is open and available, including, use the solo lanes in general, wherever she is needed. But Gwen also has a lot of speed and a lot of prowess. I talked about it yesterday of, Viego and Gwen, and, I have the math numbers going on behind me, how does this work? How does this happen? This speed ability is just so good. Of course, if you look at it on paper, it makes sense, but still, sometimes when you get to the late game and you're ahead, it feels awful. But now we're getting to the point where, hey, we're getting closer and closer to the late game, and Sniper is very, very much ahead. Faisal has a lot more difficult recovery as this Camille.
Right, and that first turret is going to go down in favor of 100 Thieves next as well. Of course, Sketch and Dap should have to respect that Perry is on the other side of the map. That gives 100 next the pressure to be able to get that extra boost of gold here. Recalls coming through, gold spent. You're starting to see mythics come out across the board here for both teams, actually. So we're going to see if a fight breaks out for this Rift Herald. This lead is not so bad. 1,000 gold at this point in the game is still rather insignificant. So if we have the fight, I think it could go either way. It's just going to depend on how it plays out. Faisal, though, feels like he just doesn't get to play.
Yeah, that's definitely been how this game is going. Luckily for EGP, they still have Draven, who hasn't really been able to participate in many fights, sitting at that 1-1 position, having taken down Array earlier on. But I also like the fact that, hey, you guys all have plated steel caps. That's totally fine, because I'm going to pick up an early Last Whisper before even finishing my own boots, on top of having the Immortal Shield, though. So feeling pretty good here if you are Sketch, and definitely waiting and anticipating moving towards a team fight for EGP.
Right, we haven't seen that play out yet. The moment it's just been small skirmishes leading to this 3-3 scoreline you see, and now with Perry dropping this Herald, 100 next are too late to actually stop this turret from going down, and it's allowing EGP to kind of hold on and not allow this 1,000 gold deficit to grow any further. Even though Dawnbray is looking I don't think there's really any fight that they can potentially look for. It's all about this dragon coming up in 40 seconds, Jolly. It's all about maybe Perry's caught.
Oh, yeah, looks like Perry is caught. That's going to be a nice little depth charge, actually, to follow that one up. So Perry takes a lot of damage, has to use the Crescent Guard to get away.
That's actually a pretty big deal. Perry isn't going to have it for this next skirmish. That's likely going to break out for this dragon that's spawning in about 20 seconds. So that's a big ult you end up forcing out. The thing that works for EGP is that Fnatic also used the Subjugate, and Donbray actually committed the depth charge too. So 2 ults for 1 is a pretty big deal for EGP. The only thing is, because Perry is forced to try to heal off some of his camps, you don't get a good position here.
Yeah.
Or do you?
The rest of the EGP trying to maybe find, I mean, it looked like they were maybe looking for some sort of pinch, but when it's Fnatic, Insanity, and Dawnbray in there, with Dawnbray and Fnatic, I mean, just playing proxy to ensure that nobody gets to the back line. Here comes the Event Horizon, and I think pop-up array is going to take a lot of damage. Have to use the Gale Force to get out of that one. It's Fnatic who's stuck within some members, so Sniper comes in on the backside. The Needlework comes out here, and that is an intargetable Sniper right there. Beautifully done with the critical.
Are you
kidding?
kidding?
Going to pick up the kill right there on Khalil. A double kill given over to Array. The ultimate comes through as well from Sketch, but it's not going to be enough to even take down a single member of 100 Thieves next.
Man, the engage was there from Daption. He tried to make it happen with the solar flare, and Leo did too, but it didn't look like Sketch was in an optimal position to actually do some damage. Oh, Faisal, you can't be here, sir.
Yeah, you really can't. Sketch is really low on mana on top of it, but you don't want to give another kill over to Array, which is exactly what happened there.
And the race has been insane with these curtain calls, and we're going to see it in the replay, I hope, where Sketch wasn't able to actually do very much in that team fight, even though he did the most damage. I mean, compare it to Sniper. Actually, compare it to everybody. He got damaged, out-damaged by almost every damage dealer on the side of 100 next. And it's just...
almost every player. I mean, all the damage dealers, right?
Almost, yeah.
The only one that did less damage was, of course, Dawnbray, which, you know, that's absolutely the anticipation on this one. And definitely does not feel good for Sketch. Oh my gosh, that was actually hysterical. It's not good for Sniper. Gonna get solar flared on the top of that. The Needlework comes out here as it's been stolen away by Leo. The final one does come through, but it's a big shutdown. Going over to Leo.
That's actually a big deal. Leo getting a lot of gold in his pocket off of that shutdown. It's got to have been a big one, considering how strong and how far ahead Faisal is at the moment here. But again, 100 Thieves, never resting. As soon as you see pressure on one side of the map, they immediately go for the trade here. They're stealing camps. Yeah. They're putting down vision. They're making this side of Perry's jungle dark at the moment here. What that does is expose this mid lane turret a little bit.
And now we see that Faisal has to react to this. He's not going to be a part of this fight. Daption's the one that gets rooted down with that deadly flourish. Dawnbray's actually going to end up using the depth charge here just to try to take out Daption. What a pillar to follow it up as well from Fnatic to prevent Daption from even navigating around anything. And hey, it's only the support, but it's still another pickup.
Yeah, and you're forcing people like Perry and Sketch to have to recall in some very uncomfortable parts of the map. Enemy jungle, just forcing them out here as you take Daption away, get more gold into your pocket here. And this is where 100 Thieves are just starting to run away with the game, and it's going to be harder for Sketch to be able to actually play. He's under a lot of pressure with this long-range damage coming through. You think about Insanity, you think about Array, especially when the curtain call comes through, and really... If Sniper gets on top of him, sure, it's Sketch's effective range, but Wynn's gonna run him down.
Yeah, and that's been a big problem. You know, I mentioned it several minutes ago, Beatdown, just the fact that Sketch hasn't really been able to get into these team fights, and that's what we've seen all the time. There's just so much prowess coming from the back, coming from Sniper, coming from Fnatic. You have to avoid the Event Horizon from Insanity, and then on top of the curtain call from Array, and right here, Leo looks like he's not going to be able to get out of this one alive. It's the depth charge that has been taken away here. Let's see who it is used on. It's going to be Fnatic. It's taking quite a bit of damage here, but the Event Horizon will be enough to lock him down. Sure, you could use some Zonias, but it's not going to get you very far here, and the kill goes over to Insanity.
Yeah, really nice punish. Really big move from Fnatic and Dawnbray. I don't think that Whirling Death's actually going to get the kill. He was probably aiming for Dawnbray, which is feels bad, but I do like the moving camera for that one, so that was fun. But ultimately, EGP just getting punished left, right, and center here. And Fnatic and Dawnbray are doing a really good job. Why don't we hold that thought?
Yeah, out comes the Needlework once again. Sniper goes
Fnatic.
through the Hextech ultimatum onto Fnatic. Sketch is going to come through and help out right here. It's going to be the pick up by Faisal, who ends up using both summoning spells right there. But that's going to be Array using the Gale Force to come in, pick up another kill. Sniper, in the meantime, gets one for himself, and it's still 100 Thieves coming out ahead.
Ooh, and it's tough. You're at this point now, EGP, every play they make, especially in these skirmishes and 5v5s, if they don't make it happen, get in and get out, the rest of 100 Thieves are so fast to collapse. And the fact that they are just so much stronger at the moment here means there is no other way these skirmishes are going to end. And honestly, Insanity's cages make this really hard to navigate overall here. And it's, again, why this Veigar pick is so good from the side of 100 Thieves. The only reason 100X can't go for the Baron is just because they ended up losing Fnatic at the start.
Yep. Makes it very difficult to try to go for something like that, especially when, Period remains on board. Of course, had to recall immediately after that one. Doesn't have a flash available, doesn't have a Crescent Guard available, but let's take another look at that fight real quick.
Yeah, you can see it come through with this teleport where, I think this was from a couple of minutes ago. Yeah, okay, yeah, where Insanity ends up getting the baby cage is there. Even with the Crescent Guard, you can see it coming through. Faisal TPs to try and get that kill onto Fnatic. And even though he succeeds, I mean, look, again, the cage, it zones parry and Daption. They can't do anything about the fact that their top and 80 carry are just getting throttled at this red buff.
Yeah, and that was actually a good replay because it gave us the perspective, first off, of that teleport.
How it started, yes.
Through. And then also, the fight did kind of split. So that was a situation where we focused a little bit more towards the top side. That's where most of the members kind of flew away to. But you do have to acknowledge it was a pretty good flash coming out. It was pretty good avoiding a lot of things there. But you can't avoid the event horizon. It's going to be the ultimate that comes out from Sketch. Does almost nothing.
The damage.
The Solar Flare on the backside. The curtain call is finally here now. Dawnbray is going to pick up the kill on that one. Fnatic and Sniper find out a member right there in Faisal. On top of that, that means the two remaining members of EGP have to run away, opening up the Baron for 100 Thieves next.
It's going to be that easy. 100 Thieves are going to take this big objective here and continue to advance their gold lead. EGP, I mean, they only have 2 members. They have already accepted they can't do anything about this. They're going to try and trade for the Dragon because they want to deny the soul point at the very least. Thing is, Sniper is already here, level 14. What can they actually do about it? Oh, they don't realize that Sniper's already on it, I think.
They're not going for it. Leo says, I could potentially catch out Dawnbray, but Insanity is right there after the Baron has been picked up. That was beautifully done right there by Insanity coming down to say, hey, I'm going to help out Dawnbray. Array, you and Fnatic, you've got this Baron right, no problem, because Sniper has the Dragon. We're going to pick up everything and more.
And that's just 100 Thieves winning on every part of the map here at this point in time. You get this 3rd Dragon. You're at soul point for Mountain Soul. With this Baron buff and Toe Jolly, maybe we don't even get to the soul here. The lead is so strong for 100 next. Let's take a look at this replay really quickly here. Even though the Everfrost comes through, you still see Dawnbray able to start this engage. And the fact is, again, Sketch, not a single axe thrown. And even Faisal wasn't able to do very much into that fight. Because of that, because of the zoning and how strong it is from the side of 100 Thieves next, it's just so easy for them to win these fights.
3 members do catch out Sniper. Fnatic's not going to be able to get there in time. That means that is 1 member down and the biggest side laner here that no longer has the Baron buff for the next 2 minutes. Of course, Fnatic,
canceled.
Insanity, and Dawnbray are here, and it's going to be a nice little cancellation right there. Leo is stuck against a wall, literally between 2 right now. Fnatic using the subjugate to help out on that one, but Insanity picks up the kill.
Yeah, now you got 2 members of EG Prodigies on the run, Jolly. Dapshit and Perry are trying to get away from this one, and I actually think they will be able to. You take away one Baron buff. I mean, yeah, you take away a Baron buff, they have to take this awkward escape route while you get to continue pushing bot. Top is technically stacking if left alone, and now Faisal can't even back. It's not allowed.
So rude. Dawnbray is there. It is going to be Perry and Daption who are capable of backing things moving into the mid lane. Perry actually stops the recall here. The pings are coming up from 100 Thieves next to potentially make a pinch, but you know what? Why do you have to do that when you can just abuse the Baron buff? They haven't gotten a ton off of it. Of course, it is a pretty early Baron, so 2,400 is still very solid, but they're looking to actually break into the base here of EG Prodigies. So luckily, EGP saw that coming and did decide to back pretty early in that.
Yeah, now, oh, you can see it. There it is.
No, the event horizon perfectly done right there. Out comes the ultimate here from Faisal on the Hextech ultimatum. A couple flashes back. Domfrey is in danger, but it doesn't matter because in goes Sniper. Out comes the curtain call. Domfrey still participating in this fight, still alive. Fnatic at full health behind the inhibitor is going to get jumped on here by Daption. Goes gold, but it does not matter. It's too much damage. And just like that, 100 Thieves are looking to end the game. The only member left alive right now is the support, and there's not much that Daption can do right here, right now. Poor Faisal, not even able to do a thing. The teleport coming through, just a cheeky one from Insanity to say, what are you gonna do to me? Daption, absolutely nothing. And it's going to be 100 Thieves who send EG Prodigies home in a very quick 2-game sweep.
Say goodbye to evil genius Prodigies. 100 next are constantly reminding us why they are one of the tournament favorites. Dismantling EGP in game 2, especially, and again, I'm gonna keep talking about this Veigar pick, and if you don't talk about it on the desk, I'm gonna be very sad. Smacks, I'm looking at you. I know you appreciate this as much as I do. This was just so good for Insanity, and that one pick really made this fight, the game, impossible for EGP to play. Again,
For sure.
So many melee members. You saw it in those last couple of fights, those last couple of replays we went through. Sketch doesn't get to auto attack. None of his lead ended up mattering because he can't actually go for any of the damage possible. Even Daption was getting zoned out so often as well and getting caught out, and it just means EGP could never even fight to their comp's potential.
Absolutely. It was unfortunate to see and sad to say goodbye to EGP for this. But hey, you know what? You've got more qualifiers to look forward to, more tournaments, and of course, 100 Thieves saying, hey, we were already first seed. We're going to continue on with this drive and not losing a single match in this one. We will be right back, of course, with an interview or two, so don't go anywhere. We'll return with more Proving Grounds after this quick break.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Unified Proving Ground Circuit. We are here with EGP Daption here, and Daption, I wish I could have you here in a happier circumstance, but did fall victim to 100 Thieves. How was that series for you guys?
I mean, we were ahead game 1 and we lost, and obviously that's kind of sad. And then second game, things obviously didn't go the way we planned it to go. But you know, it's fine. Like, losses happen, and I think the best way to take this forward is to just like learn from it, and so that the next time we end up facing 100 next, the story isn't the same, and not everyone's voting for 100 next, and they see the progress that we've made, you know. And yeah, that's really how I want it to be.
I mean, y'all had big fans inside it. I know we had a lot of talking about it, and even RBM was just like, yo, EGP, hold on, this is how they're gonna do it. But yeah, you guys, I mean, you guys had a very impressive run here, especially. I mean, you guys did have yourselves drop to Winthrop inside that first game, and then you guys fought your way back in. So how did it feel going from that first round, go against that collegiate squad, and kind of had that reset? Was that a big wake up for you guys? Or
wait, I thought we lost to Taco Gaming.
Taco Gaming, sorry. That's Taco Gaming.
Well, obviously it was like a big wake up call for us to like to lose, because like obviously when you're losing, obviously something's not going right. And it kind of hit us in the face like out of nowhere. And I'm kind of happy that you know, we had that loss, because we were able to like move on and like really iron out those issues that we had. And so the series that we had today ended up being closer than it would have been if we hadn't lost to them. So it's just like a lesson learned, and yeah, appreciate Taco Gaming.
You guys get scarier if that's the case. Now you guys did come off of this, you know, you get to come in with it. I have to ask real quick for my sanity. In game number 2, we'll talk about this probably more on top of the desk, but there was a point in time where we saw the Camille and Sketch kind of go off on their own journey to try and kill out the jungler and cash in on some stacks. How tragic were comms right there? I gotta know.
I mean, on a scale from 1 to 10, it was probably like a 9. Not like the most tragic, but like it was pretty tragic. You could feel it in the comms, but also it's a match game, so we're not going to be like super depressed and anything. But yeah, I mean that kind of sucked, but I think that's what we thought we could do, and we ended up going through with it. So I'm happy that my team is like ready to go with that one line. You know, when you're team is trying to do something and you go with it, that you end up being a much better team than teams that don't, follow the team. Wow, I said team a lot, but
Yeah, it's all good. Look, it's all about the team, right? And
yeah,
I mean, you guys had a strategy there. Cash in, get those stacks. We were talking about it on the desk while we were watching. He's like, this man's sitting on so many stacks. He's gonna get so much gold if he actually gets a kill. So it was one of those moments of tragedy for us on the desk because we were like, he was so close to picking up that kill, but it is what it is at the end of the day. For anybody who is watching EGP that have been cheering y'all on throughout this qualifier, any words that you have for the fans cheering at home?
Thank you for supporting us. Obviously, we didn't end up winning today and we got kicked out of this tournament, but thank you for supporting us through this loss. And obviously I want to come back stronger for all of the fans out there and all my friends that are literally sitting at home right now watching. I got a few messages like sad emojis on Discord. But you know what, thank you for sticking out there for us, and I'm gonna try to make you as proud as possible.
Hey, absolutely, and take everybody down in the process, right? That's what we want to see. So thank you so much, Daption, for coming in for this interview. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and throw it back over to our desk to go ahead and get the breakdown of this game started. As we just got the scene 100 Thieves Nets get a very, very strong 2-0 for themselves here. Gents, ladies, it's been just a very convincing performance, I think. I think everybody had everything that they went for themselves. It was a great time.
Yeah, everybody on the casters predicted for 100 Thieves, so they were all right. RBM,
I didn't want to say that. I was struggling to not say that.
Yeah, it was just a really good series for 100 Thieves, for sure. I think like the early game in game 1, they could definitely take some notes on what went wrong for them there, but game 2 was a lot cleaner for sure.
And RBM, how are you feeling? You got the, of course, your prediction didn't get right. It got foiled there at the end. How are you feeling coming off of this?
Yeah, I definitely think EGP will have a lot to learn from the games, especially game 1. Game 2, they kind of got stomped, but it was more like a strategy kind of idea thing that they can like try to think about or talk about more about what they think they could do next time in order to beat a team like 100X. Because 100X really gives me like the no org kind of vibes back from last year, where like General Sniper is definitely his brother's brother because he's top kingdom R5 every single game. So I think if teams get a better strategy against them or try to incorporate a little bit of a no-org strategy, they'll do better. But overall, game 1 was a really good learning place for EGP to step it up and figure out what's going on.
And Amelia, I have to ask, are you converted? Are you now are you Nautilus gaming now?
Dombre was looking really good in that Nautilus. I'm starting to have be second guessing my champion pool day. But no, it was a really good showing though. It was good. I enjoyed watching. Even though I didn't get the Enchanter gameplay I wanted, or the Yumi, I did enjoy watching those plays, those picks on the aggressive champions that I don't see as much normally.
Yeah, we got to see a Draven, which was phenomenal to be able to catch out here. We have some replays to go over how that game went, and it all started over inside the top lane with a nice Nautilus roam and a Trundle coming up the lane. Take it away from me as
yeah,
we got the replay right here.
This is a really cool play from Dombre. He's Spider-Manning his way up around the rift, trying to figure out where he wants to go with the dredge line. Always nice to see that movement, but yeah, once we get up to this top lane, you'll see that Sniper has a really solid push up here with the counter pick of Gwen into the Camille. As yeah, like RBM was saying, whenever a Sniper is able to have counter pick, this is what he's going to do to you, and he's got the support of his team to back him up. I really like the Nautilus mechanics in this play as well, because he gets the flash hook, and then to cancel out the momentum of the hook shot, he lands the snare auto attack as well. And even though Dombre ends up falling and dying underneath this turret, it's completely okay, and top lane is already completely won from this because there's an entire wave that Faisal is missing, and Sniper still has this counter pick as well, so there's really not a whole lot that can be done to save Faisal's lane from here.
Yeah, jumping on that play for sure. I think it was a great call by either Fan or probably General Sniper in this case, talking about this wave's going to crash and hey, Donbray is pathing back down to mid. You're open on this timer. Please come top and dive this guy. It's a free dive, and that really ends Camille's game. She can't play the game after that.
I guess
Really
Yumi
enables
couldn't do that.
Maybe not.
Can't Spider-Man around the map like that at the very least, but we did go back over into the bot lane, and with the Nautilus roam and everything, to set up some plays to go over to this squad from EGP. And this was a moment that us on the desk, we were like, oh, the cash in, here we go. It's the first of many, right?
Only the first and the last, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's
Alright,
all right.
so EGP does a really good job of capitalizing on Nautilus because he's away roaming mid. So I think they timed this very well and caught Array alone. And then it was just a standard dive. They juggle the aggro well, give that cash out to the Draven. Unfortunately, it was his only one. It wasn't enough. But it's good. They're playing towards the Draven. They know their win con. So it was definitely good that they went for plays like that.
Yeah, I'm glad that they're going for plays like that because, like you said, this Draven needs some money, right? He's trying to cash in on the adoration that he's stacking up.
Yep.
And unfortunately, like you guys have been saying, spoiler alert, that was his one and only cash in that he got to have. And going into our third replay here, we see 100 Thieves. This is where they start taking control of the game yet again in this mid-game RBM. I mean, this fight was just so big for 100 Thieves.
Yeah, I think the most important thing in this fight is definitely this General Sniper flank that ends up coming, the damage graph popped up afterwards to show he did the most damage in this fight. This flank was just way too insane. Even without the ghost, it was really hard to get in. Leo getting instantaneously one-shot forces Zonius, thanks to Legend Tenacity, he was able to get out of the CC, but here comes General Sniper to just melt the entire team. I think something super huge here, right here happens where Donbray flashes to get the Draven flash too, so now Draven is really going to struggle to play the rest of next 5 minutes of the game, which is not what Draven wants to do. He really needed that cash out to make this game anywhere near close.
Yeah, the flank from Sniper is just crazy as well. Like this Gwen already gigantic lead from the top lane. Like it's kind of similar to Vladimir, where you don't really have any crowd control when you're flanking, but you just can't die because you have the W. So
especially
it's really
no ghost,
flank.
like getting a flank that good without ghost or TP, like that's really well played by General Sniper. Like that's pretty impressive.
This player is just such a threat. It's so young and is such a threat to every single player on the Rift from this top lane position. We do have one more replay here, and this is where hearts are broken, I believe. Is we do see a cool play coming up from EGP. A tear does shed down the eye as this is where they try to bet it all.
Yes. So this is even before the play begins as well, where Leo gets caught out, and we get to see the recalls canceled out by Sketch. They're really trying to get the siege off in the mid lane, but like RVM was saying, the flanks can be really deadly on Gwen without TP. So now that you actually do have teleport, it just becomes all the more deadly. Sketch and Faisal actually have a really smart opportunity where they see that they actually can at least get a cash out on Draven by the end, but then Faisal takes it. Oh, it's so tragic. All of that gold down the drain for Draven. I think he lost like 400 stacks there. It was really, really sad.
Yeah, Faisal was trying to S-key to give it over, but unfortunately it was not enough. And you can see on the minimap during that time too that while the channels or the TPs are getting channeled, blue team is danger pinging and blue trinketing on top of the pink ward that they know is there. So they know this TP is coming, the double TP flank is coming, but it didn't seem that they really had an agreed upon exit path as people walked upward and two people walked downward and then try to go upward afterwards. So it was good to try to get a turn, good to try to get the cash out, but the Camille Ignite ended up taking it while he was spamming S-key. It was really sad, really unlucky, but it probably wouldn't have changed the game anyways. Game's pretty doomed.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Tears were shed. I definitely feel like that was an F in chat moment for him as well. We were talking about it. Big money was sitting on him with the adoration that they had.
Yeah, I'm putting 2 Fs in chat after that one. And a slash.
2 Fs. 2 Fs.
A / and 2 Fs. That's in my chat.
With that being said, we do have our game is over. The series is over. I'm gonna real quick, Amelia. How you're walking away from this, of course. Anything you come walking away from this from, besides Nautilus being a bit better of a champion in your eyes, at least not on the other side.
I'm almost. I'm like halfway converted. Not there yet.
Okay. I like to hear it. With that being said, I want to give a shout out to Amelia for coming in and joining us for our first desk here, providing some fantastic. Yeah, you were fantastic today.
It's my first time doing anything like this, but it's a lot of fun. So thank you for having me on today.
Anytime. It was great. But that being said, we are going to send it over to our winner's interview, as we are going to go ahead and jump on in with Array, who is waiting for us.
Oh.
Array, how's it going?
Yeah, I'm going.
Pretty good. What about you?
Doing good. We do have a special guest here.
Yeah.
I got RBM. He's got a smile on his face because he's so excited to talk to you. RBM, I'm gonna let you have the first word here. I'm gonna let you seem very excited for this.
Oh, of course, I love doing player reviews. So, Ray, how does it feel to get single-handedly carried by kid number 1?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not much more to say.
Yeah, and how like who's leading those calls where it's like pulling Dodbray back to top lane? And do you like cry every time you hear it? Like in scrims, you go through like a 3-game block of your top laner begging for top lane dives while you're just AFK under your tower getting carried, or?
Nah, bro. I know these guys. They don't know how to stack bot waves, so I'm not losing much, bro.
Oh, I don't know. I think I saw a cash out into 630 gold Draven. You waste both your sums under the turret. That didn't look like.
I went for the outplay. But 60 ping. 60 ping.
60 ping.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like how this went from an interview to an interrogation very quickly. Like the mood shifted. I'm gonna congratulate you, Array, for the dub here. That was very big for you guys, being able to move on to the next round. I have to ask, going first and foremost, you guys pick up a very convincing 2-0. I want to know, is there a team that you guys are specifically keeping your eyes on throughout the rest of this qualifier?
Probably like Team Liquid LCS. The
Team Liquid
the amateur and
LCS
academy teams have not really been putting up a fight, so yeah, probably.
It's because I'm not playing. You're lucky.
RBM, would you just camp Array's lane if you were playing against him? Is that what I'm hearing right now?
No, my internet would go out if I had to play 100 X.
That being said, man, Array, you played a fantastic time on the Jin champion. Of course, you were able to pull off some very good moves, had a great bit of positioning for yourself inside of a lot of these team fights. How are the comms going, and how is the energy going into the series?
We're pretty confident facing any team. We know that we have 5 really good players in every role, so as long as we play our game, we know that we'll be fine.
I like the confidence there. I like it. And your game, I mean, I gotta bring it up. Sniper was a raid boss, especially in game number 2 here. How has it been with your team having so many threats inside of it? It feels multidimensional. It's hard to play against y'all's team right now, especially when y'all take red side.
Yeah, I mean, Sniper is definitely really good. I think, like I said before, we have 5 good players in every role, and all of us can carry if we need to, so I mean, it's like not really stressed going into like any game ever, thinking like, oh, I have to do so much to win. Like, I just have to do my job, and it'll be good enough.
Did you think like that on Resolve? Are you saying your Resolve teammates are bad?
No. I love my Resolve teammates.
Jumping on that Resolve teammate thing, you've obviously experienced a whole year playing with Fan, so it probably works out really well for you in understanding what he wants to do with the game. But tell me about Insanity. I think that's a player that doesn't get talked a lot about on your team enough, especially Dawnbray too. Tell me about Dawnbray and what you think about playing with them.
Insanity definitely helps a lot with like reviews and stuff, and he has a lot of experience, obviously, in LCS and Academy. So in review, he kind of takes like a huge role and is trying to like help all of the players with less experience learn. And Dawnbray is kind of in the same boat where he doesn't have that much experience, but in game he tries to make a lot of calls, and yeah.
I like it. I like to hear that. Well, we have last bit of closing words here. Is it just constant 2-0s from this point on? You guys haven't dropped a game. Like, is that streak going to continue on until the very end? What do you guys got going on there?
I think we're just really good, and just our players are really good. And as long as we keep like improving as a team, yeah, we should keep winning.
Okay. No L's in this team's future, apparently. Well, Ray, I have to thank you for the interview here and joining us for the interview/interrogation from RPM. With that being
You
said,
better not lose, buddy.
oh, that was a weight put on Ray's shoulder.
Don't lose any noobs.
We're going to go ahead and send it over to a break. When we come back, we will be going into our net series, have a new guest alongside with us with Qualifier, so make sure you stay tuned as we'll be right back.